What's good, creators of the universe? This is your host speaking, John M. Gonzalez Jr. We are coming to you live in the Carlson Art Gallery. Joining me today is Sam Coons.
Sure am.
All right, let's just dive right into it. What are you seeing, and I guess what stands out to you the most?
The first word that comes to mind is tension, and it feels like that centerpiece looks like kind of like meat or like human or animalistic, just like being ripped apart.
Flesh.
Flesh. That's the word. That's a better word because like flesh has a very, it has more. It hits you different when you say flesh, and that's what I'm getting from this. You know, it looks like it's bleeding. It's being torn apart by these two rope cord figured, whatever those are, pulling it apart,
Two distinct characters or figures on the left and right side.
Yeah.
I guess I should have started with the title of the piece.
Yeah. What is it?
The title is Murder in Mayhem.
Murder in Mayhem.
Yeah.
I feel like knowing you, this is maybe how you felt this past semester. Just like I see there's these two primary things that are pulling on this flesh, and then there's these other similar items, similar characters, similar forces that are present and possibly exuding their own force on this central figure. And it also looks like there's something overhead. Looks very.
Yeah. What are you seeing? What do you think it is?
It looks like a storm, of some kind. Not a regular storm, but it has the overbearing quality of a storm.
Yeah, I think what my goal was for this project was to create a piece of work that went along with an exhibition that I curated. And the topic, or the title of that, was Beauty and Defiance. And a lot of the work that I incorporated was just, I guess, grotesque work and like super, what's the word? Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Made you uncomfortable. Yeah. A couple monsters and underneath the bed, I guess, is what I would describe these selections that I chose. Yeah, I just tried painting something that went along with that. And something I've been focusing on with my paintings recently is chaos. And trying to paint that as well as compose that in a balanced manner.
Yeah.
Which is challenging because, when you think of chaos, you don't think of
nothing
balance
about
at
it
all.
is composed or balanced, so yeah.
Yeah, one of the biggest notes I had this last year for my work was defining my space. And so that's kind of where I started with this piece.
Yeah. Was,
like you said, you see a storm. And
I also see, as far as definition of space goes, I definitely see this canyon-like landscape, but in another dimension, and river, but in another dimension.
Yeah. Well, you hit that right on the nose. I was definitely going for like a frozen over rivers or something. You can kind of see. I tried using some shadows just underneath the landscape, rock valley forms that I have going there. And I guess the season that I was trying to go for was snow, like a winter scene.
See, now that you say that,
it's clicking a little bit.
It's clicking a little bit more because there's something very cold about this, about the overall feel of this, and desolate is another word that comes to mind. And I think the cold and desolate came across. I just didn't see the winter until you pointed out, and that makes more sense. The color of the river is more clear now that you say that. But yeah,
Yeah, and then the two forms was artistic choice to leave them not fully complete.
Yeah.
Almost as if they're translucent in some portions of their forms.
Yeah, it almost seems like they're capable of shifting to maintain their strength or their power. Like it reminds me of like shape-shifting creatures that can, you know, you like stab them and they just open up a hole in the middle of them and then it closes right back up when you pull your sword away, you know, that kind of thing. But I can see that.
And you mentioned it earlier about tension. I think what I really did well in this piece was incorporate a lot of movement.
Yeah.
Not only in the actual forms, but also in my strokes, my brush strokes.
Yeah.
You can kind of see in the rock valley landscape forms the upward vertical strokes.
Yeah.
And then you get some horizontal movement with the palette knife that I used in the frozen river.
Yeah. No, that did come across very clearly. And there's movement in the sky. The storm, I mean, there's this diagonal and even just the way that the storm clouds look, they don't look like they're still. You know, they look like they're actively
coming down,
getting ready to.
The sky is falling.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think of the color choices here?
See, and it's funny because they gave me desolate and almost taxing in a way. And now that you pointed out that the river is frozen, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah. It kind of.
What were your thoughts before I had even mentioned the winter scene and the frozen river? I should have started with that. I should have given you the key to the to the composition right away.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It kind of reminded me of some twisted version of you know I think it's the C.S. Lewis series where that dude gets his horse stuck in the mud and then he has to walk and then he goes between those two towers and the giant statues shoot lasers at him. I can't.
This is an intense scene.
Yeah, it's not The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but it's the one before that in the series or something. Maybe I'm thinking of it in the wrong direction. Or maybe it's the one after. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I'm very tired.
You're good.
No, but I mean, my thoughts as far as the overall piece was it looks like this is being tested. My thoughts is the color. I kind of already said it. I said it seems desolate. It seems like tough, like hard on anything that would try and enter this environment.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on the volume or the mass of that texture that I used? Does it work?
It makes me uncomfortable.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of like you were talking about. It's like gross. It looks like flesh being ripped, and the fact that it isn't just painted makes it harder to get away from.
That dimension.
Yeah, that dimension is relief. Like it's not just a painting. It's like
it's actually there.
Yeah, it looks like skin just got fucking slapped on there, and that's
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely very effective. And I like that you used it on the forces as well to make them real. You know?
Yeah.
That also kind of makes them. I'd be curious to see what it would look like if you hadn't, though. If it was just
painted 2D.
Yeah, if the blue was all 2D and the flesh slab was the only 3D thing, you know?
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know. I don't know if that would be more or less effective or different or what, but it is occurring to me now that that's something that would change this for me, I think, if it was just the flesh, you know?
Yeah. So earlier I mentioned that my goal with my recent paintings is to try and capture chaos. Does that read well, or are there variables that I could have added to maybe get that point across more clearly?
That's a good question.
Personally, me critiquing my own work.
Well, do you want to critique it before I say something?
Well, yeah, okay. You go first.
Because I might.
You might have the answer.
Well, I don't want my answers to be tainted by what you say.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that makes it more interesting. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Do you think it reads
as chaos?
Yeah,
Chaos.
Chaotic.
I think the sky tells me that there's chaos. I think the blue forces tell me that there's chaos. I think yes, but I also feel somewhat like there's less chaos because of the stone canyon type deal. You know, I wonder if there was less stability in that, if the overall feeling it gave me would be more linked to chaos instead of I can't put a finger on the word, which I like. You know, I like that I can't put a finger on the word of what there's not like one easy word that I can think of that this makes me feel, you know?
Yeah. No, I got you. As the artist, I think I could have made it more clear with just more in the space, whether it was in addition to detail or just more. I guess what I was going for with what's falling is like I said earlier, the sky, just the sky.
Yeah.
The sky is falling, and I think more variation in location of these pieces of sky would have been nice. I know you touched on it just right now about the valley and the landscape. I think what I'm trying to come across with the landscape is a sense of stillness to contrast to the
so that the chaos has a place to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot here that on the bottom in that gray area that isn't super chaotic.
The foreground.
The foreground doesn't have quite the same level of chaos that's like above that bottom 25% of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I wonder what there is that you could do with that. I don't know. I just had this idea of like, yeah, have you ever seen, I think it's MC Escher, but I might be making that up. It's like a progression where it starts off with like hexagons, and by the end it turns into like birds and butterflies and bees. You know what I'm talking about?
That artist, yeah.
Like a version of that where there's something in this that has order, and then we see that thing that has order transition into something that no longer has order. You know what I mean?
Yeah, almost like a double-sided.
Yeah, and I don't think it has to. I don't think it has to be that same thing at all. I just think there has to be something where, you know, this is your realm, my guy. You know, like something where the thing that makes us feel comfortable at some point and in some way no longer makes us feel comfortable.
Okay, yeah. With maybe a change of color.
Yeah.
Are there any other things you would like to talk about in this piece?
I don't know. I mean, I like it. I feel this. You know what I mean? I relate to the slab of flesh. Being pulled in two directions is how I felt this entire last semester and for most of these 4 years. So I am drawn to it.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Sam Coons is a BFA acting major who is graduating this year.
This is true.
Let's go. Next year is my year. What are your thoughts on my signature here? Juanaguchi.
Juanaguchi.
Is my
That's
alias.
I was wondering what that. I mean, bold choice with going with Gucci. You might get sued, and then you'll have to change it. So.
Well, if you look closely, the I is definitely accented in a different way.
Oh, I see. That's your copyright protection.
Just the accent. I guess what we can close on is my method in painting this.
Yeah.
How I started was I actually bought this canvas from like a garage sale.
Nice.
And it was a triplet. It was split in 3 sections, and it was a Western scene. Yeah, you saw some cowboys and some Native Americans, and I thought, I'll paint over this.
Yeah.
What I started with was just dried pieces of acrylic paint is what that dimension is, that relief that you're seeing. And I just, like you said, I pretty much just slapped it on there randomly.
Yeah.
And then I kind of experimented with the orientation, and horizontal is what I went with, obviously. And how I paint, or how I have been painting recently, is just, I would describe it as almost like a performance. I would just paint what I wanted to see, I guess is the best description. And just went from there. I love to build off of strong color as my first layer, and then bring in some more neutral, natural tones.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we turn it sideways?
Yes, we can flip it vertical. But that is all the time we have today.
Oh no!
All right, thanks for listening, y'all. Peace.